All right, welcome back to the channel. Let's talk this boxing this fine morning. Why they try to start a lot of stupidity and drama in the world. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Let's do it today. Let's do it. I see. Let's do it. Adrian Vent in the building says salute Fannon, champ, and chat. Southern T Boxing in the building. Philly Miz, what's going on? Matthew Valentine in the building. He said, facts, boxing is disgraceful and needs to be governed. It's a joke. It is a bad joke. Listening to these people that say one thing for one fighter and something completely different for another fighter. They will say it's about money until it becomes about money, and then it's not about money, it's about skill. Unless that is, of course, it's about skill, because if it's about skill, then it's not about skill, it's about money. Unless there is skill and money, then it's not about skill and money, it's about skill, money, and weight class. Or whatever it needs to be for you guys to come up with a justification to treat one fighter one way and another fighter another way. Now, you know I do not have a reputation for doing passionate defenses of Devin Haney, because I'm not. I typically don't do them. Do you want to know why I do not typically do them? Because they're typically centered around conversations around Gary Russell Jr. However, there are times when I will do them very, very willingly. In this instance, Devin Haney has two incredibly tough mandatory fights lined up for him to fight for a belt that doesn't matter. My hat goes off to you, Mr. Suleiman. Congrats. Wow, what a different standard. What a different standard from Teofimo Lopez. Teofimo Lopez is the real WBC champion, according to Mauricio Suleiman, and he has no mandatories. Devin is an email champion, but yet he has back-to-back against, if please. The only way it's going to be back-to-back, by the way, is if somehow, miraculously, Luke Campbell actually beats Ryan Garcia. I personally think Ryan Garcia is going to take that man's head off. That's what I think. I think that it should be a good competitive looking fight. But when Ryan Garcia touches his ass with some nasty shit, he is going to go down. Because Ryan Garcia, say what you want to say about Ryan Garcia, and I don't see anything bad to say about Ryan Garcia. The young man got heart. The young man wants to fight every fucking body. I like Ryan Garcia. Ryan Garcia ain't out there acting Hollywood when he is more fucking Hollywood than the motherfuckers acting Hollywood. So I just so happen to like Ryan Garcia a lot. But the likelihood of DAZN, well, it is a DAZN fight with Devin Haney too, isn't it? So maybe there is a chance that it could be a DAZN fight with Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia. I actually believe Ryan Garcia would take that shit. But that is a very difficult fight for Devin Haney. Very dangerous fight for Devin Haney. Those guys are on par. But if they make that fight, wow, I would be amazed, and I would be amazing, and I would be happy. Okay? If the WBC enforced that, right? And Ryan Garcia took it. I don't see that happening, because you know what that's called in this world, dog? Too motherfucking much like right. That sounds like too much like right to take place. But it sounds like too much like right for Luke Campbell to even win that fight. But, anyway, just assume that he gets that fight, which I don't think is going to happen. Like, that's just like, why would they give that to Devin Haney? It just seems so anti-WBC. Now, on the other side of it, giving him Javier Fortuna, that, without a doubt, sounds very, very WBC-ish. Because my black Latino brother, Javier Fortuna, the black one, the ones that look like this, but actually he's a little more blacker than me. Those that exist on the planet, fucking moron. Anyway, that's a fucking very tough fight for Devin Haney. And one, I'm like, dude, if he can beat him, yeah, he deserves. If he can win those two fights, Devin Haney is definitely the man. All right, for real, man. But what is Teofimo Lopez's obligations here to make fights that are difficult for the WBC? None. Zip. Zero. So the WBC is willing to mandate some nice fights, difficult fights for Devin Haney. Good for the sport, right? Good for the sport, because you can't argue about the matchups. Devin Haney versus Javier Fortuna. Javier Fortuna deserves that fight. Javier can go. He deserves the fight. Glad to see you got the fight. Why ain't fighting Teofimo? For the franchise. See what I'm saying? But I'll take it. Nonetheless, I'll take it. Because, steel sharpens steel. If Devin Haney can get through those two fights, he's going to come out like the man, looking real pretty. And it won't matter what anybody thinks, because he would have beaten Ryan Garcia and Javier Fortuna. But do you know what will happen? I won't even do that. Let's just hope that the fights actually happen, and that when Ryan Garcia beats Luke Campbell, and I think he's gonna knock him out. I just see that. I just see that guard out here like this for Luke, and I just see that. I see that crossing that chin, dog. And hey, Ryan can fucking fight, man. Like Ryan, I was looking at Ryan, I was like, what's all this flashy shit he's doing? Like flashy shit. Like I didn't like the way that he walks into the ring with underoos on. Like that shit originally kind of put me off. Like why you got Robin Hood underoos fucking outfit on coming up in this bitch? And the reason I said it looked like an underoos, Robin underoos, because I had the same underoos when I was a kid. But he came out into a fight with it. So I was kind of like, I don't know, man. Pretty boy with the shit. But then he started clipping motherfuckers. Clack, clack, clack. I'm like, oh, okay. And he's not acting like he's a prima donna, like yet. Like, man, please, Ryan, keep the same energy. If Ryan Garcia keeps this same energy through his career, I will support Ryan Garcia through thick and thin. Okay? Because, dude, that's the attitude, man. Not the what does Gervonta Davis? Gervonta Davis needs to prove himself to me. Like, the fuck, you kidding me? Anyway, let's move forward and get on to that. But yeah, that's the original double standard, dude. What's going on, man? D Duke said Canelo is just trying to take advantage of the offer. Superstardom through the manipulative media monster machine of propaganda via course of least resistance, maximum reward. Yes, and Canelo is what you're doing. See, do you know what you just said, D Dukes? Is a very, very articulate way of saying he's pimping the game. You're right. He is pimping the game. And if you don't know what I mean by pimping the game, let's go through what D Duke said and translate it right into he's pimping the game. Canelo just trying to take advantage of some shit through manipulation. That's pimping. Monster machine of propaganda. Yeah, still pimping. Course of least resistance. That is the game. Maximum reward is the game. See, least resistance means a bunch of guys that you know he can beat. Maximum reward is a ton of money for doing it, right? For the least resistance. But maximum reward in what sense? In the totality, not monetarily. Because maximum reward for Canelo Alvarez is ERROl Spence. And I dare somebody to debate me on that. There's nobody that Canelo Alvarez can fight that will make as much money as Gennady Golovkin. Nobody. I mean, as ERROl Spence Jr., nobody. And that's where I'm saying you have two different standards. Now, Why did I start talking about ERROl Spence Jr. versus Canelo? Whole bunch of people are pissed off at me because I'm pushing Canelo Alvarez versus ERROl Spence Jr. You know that's the truth. People are out there talking about I'm trying to start shit between black people and Latinos. That type of cornball bullshit. No, I am not. I knew perfectly motherfucking well that Canelo wasn't going to fight him, even though it's the biggest fight in boxing. What I'm trying to do is show that you guys are being hypocritical. That you're saying one thing for one person and something else in the same fucking breath. You're talking out of both sides of your fucking neck, and I don't give a fuck what language you're doing it in. You can speak Spanish out of this side of your fucking neck, Portuguese out of this side of your neck, Korean out of the side of your neck, Tagalog out of the back of your fucking head. It doesn't matter. What you're doing is you got two different standards for two different people. And I'm showing you clearly today what they are. In the case of the 135-pound division, Teofimo Lopez is a champion, and he has no mandatories. Devin Haney, in the same sanctioning body, is a champion in the same weight class, and he has 2. No mandatories for Teofimo Lopez, and the WBC says he's the real champion. But he doesn't have any mandatories. Devin is not the real champion, according to the Mauricio Suleiman, but he put 2 mandatories on Devin. If you're the champion, why does a guy that's not the champion have your mandatories? Devin is fighting Teofimo's mandatories for him. He's scrubbing the floor for Teofimo Lopez. That is what it's set up to be. Because that's what the WBC said. The WBC champion at lightweight is Teofimo Lopez. The mandatories for the WBC lie with Devin Haney. How in the hell does that work? That's 2 champions. One's a champion with no mandatories. The other one's not a champion with 2. That, my friends, somebody say that in Spanish for me. 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? 0, 0, 1, 0, however the fuck you say mandatories, and 2 mandatories, however you say it. 4, however you say it, Devin Haney. Now, however you want to say that, I ain't being languageist. You're trying to accuse me of being languagists. Because that's what Latin is. It's a group of languages. Trying to start shit because you are doing a double standard for people that pay you money. Don't poverty pimp me. No poverty pimp me. Canelo Alvarez is his biggest fight. Biggest fight is ERROl Spence Jr. easy. But he is franchise champion at 160 pounds. Because he is the biggest money man and can make the biggest fights across weight classes, that's what you said. Because he can move up and down weight classes. That's why you gave him the franchise belt. Why don't you give your 147-pound champion a franchise belt and let ERROl Spence Jr. move up to 160? Why not? 2 champions, 2 different standards. 2 champions, 2 different standards. And that's the truth. In any language you say, that's just the truth. ERROl Spence Jr. is a pay-per-view star. That's what he is. I don't care what language you say PPV in. He is a pay-per-view star. People that speak Spanish watch the fight. People that watch French watch the fight. Spoke French watch the fight. No matter what language he fought in, That was a pay-per-view fight. Canelo Alvarez is not a pay-per-view star, and he has not been one for multiple years because he's over there at DAZN. And who are the fights that he is having? He has Yaldemir. That's who he's supposed to fight next. Yaldemir. Callum Smith and Yaldemir. Why not David Benavidez? Oh, because Canelo said he won't fight Mexicans. Oh, I'm sorry. Am I being anti-something because I repeat exactly what Canelo said? That he won't fight Mexicans? Which is, who the fuck gets to say that? If ERROl Spence Jr. said, I'm not fighting Mexicans, it's fucking you. I would go off on him. What do you mean you're not fighting Mexicans? The fuck is that? I would say that about ERROl Spence Jr. Let's see if we can be consistent. If Terrence Crawford said he was never going to fight another Mexican, what would you say is you not trying to fight good fighters? You're trying to tell me you're never going to fight Virgil Ortiz because of your pride? Because not your pride, because of you just love your people too much to fight Virgil Ortiz? What? Who gets to say that? What Mexican champion has ever got to say that? And people took that seriously. I'm making that up. They say it in Spanish, by the way. And when he said it in Spanish. Y'all are ridiculous. Stop hiding bullshit, trying to start dumb shit. The man ain't fighting nobody, man. Canelo's not fighting nobody. You guys go tell me who he fought. We can do, now I know who he's fought before, but I know who they're telling me he fought. I know who he fought last, and I know who he fought last before that, and last before that, and who he's fighting next, and after that. They write it in English. They write it in English. Since people are so concerned with the language that the bullshit is being communicated in. As if Spain is not in Europe. England ain't 5 feet from it. France right there too. I'm waiting for people to get mad because I said something bad in German. I realize I got to be trilingual in this bitch. You know what I'm saying? Like, damn, I got to learn how to speak Spanish. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I see. I see. Mi hermana. Janessa Fuentes. Necesito con hablar. Mi hermana. No, hablar con mi hermana. Her. Se llama. Te llama. Su llama. I don't know. I be fucking it up. But trust me, in about 2 years, I'm going to have that shit down. Because, dog, it ain't that hard to learn another language. And then I'll just be like my Cuban family and just be up there. Hey, they'll be like, I see. Like this. Say it like this. I'll try. But y'all on my nerves, man, with all that dumb shit trying to start shit. Like that. That was just over the top, dog. Anyway, let me get this in here. He said, Mayweather at age 43 beats up Canelo and GG the same day. Dude. Canelo Alvarez needs to fight somebody, dog. I see people making videos about you now. They always make video about me, man. People have been making videos about me for years. It's nothing new. This is what happens. Some boxer thinks they don't know who I am. Never listened to me before at all. But some troll, you say you got to speak their truth, not the truth, Fannon. That's what they hate. Oh, yeah. Let me tell you what happens to these boxers every time. It's a stupid mistake because you guys are going somewhere where you don't know the terrain. So you hear me say something and you look at this camera and you think, oh, this is some YouTube bum. And let me just go to another YouTube bum and I'm going to say something bad about him over there. But you don't realize that I'm not a fucking psycho and I actually have a legitimate boxing channel and I have legitimate conversations, which are very objective, despite what people's media outlets would like to say. I just have an opinion. And when I have an opinion, when I make up my mind about something, they take that as being biased. That's not biased. If I look at all of the information that is available and I'm listening to what you say and I'm listening to what you say and I think you're full of shit and I agree with you, when I express that opinion, that is not bias. That is me objectively, me looking at the objective facts, analyzing the facts that are available to me, and then me making a decision, me sharing an opinion. If my opinion was biased by the very nature of it being my opinion, then every court case, every decision that was ever made in a court of law would all be biased. Right? Everyone, because when you go before a jury, it's their opinion. They listen to the facts, they draw a conclusion, and then they vote guilty, not guilty. They're not being biased because they hit guilty or not guilty. They just analyzed the facts that were put before them, at least on the face, and they made a decision. I'm not being biased, you morons. I am looking at every fact available, and I'm taking the time to find every fact available so that I can make a decision. I can make my opinion. And as long as my facts are correct, and I'm not making up facts, then I can analyze those facts, and then my opinion is neutral. But it is my opinion. It's my opinion. That is not biased. You guys just have a terrible, terrible vocabulary. You just don't like my opinion, and that's all it is. And you try to label it something that you probably don't even understand, which is why I cannot wait to learn how to speak Spanish, because I am convinced that most of you bozos have terrible vocabularies in English, and that's your primary language. So if you have a terrible vocabulary in English, you probably have a terrible vocabulary in Spanish and probably have a very hard time communicating yourself effectively to people that clearly understand Spanish. So if I learn how to do it and you're as stupid in Spanish as you are in English, I will mop your ass in your own mother tongue. And wait and watch me do it. Fucking sick of these people, man. Sorry, now I went off. Sky Gray, who are your top 3 pound for pound fighters currently? Steroids or no steroids? What's going on, Tone 440? Steroids or no steroids? You have to clarify that, Sky Gray. You have to let me know. That's racist what you saying. You're a moron, dude. Get out of here. I didn't say anything about a race. All I said was something about a language. And I didn't insult either language. No, I said that typically speaking, if you have a poor vocabulary, you're not good at communicating. And that's just the truth. It's true. If you don't have words to express your feelings, you have a hard time expressing your feelings. Which is why a lot of times people, I'm not inviting you motherfuckers nowhere. As a matter of fact, vote UK, you say it again, I'm going to throw you out. No, I'm not talking to these bozos. But I'm going to address it because I see what I think these people are going to try to do. If you think trying to blame people, call people that because Canelo Alvarez ain't fighting nobody and Teofimo Lopez is trying to act like a prima donna, if you're trying to hide behind that act, oh, hell no. Because everybody sees it. That's just nothing but another dumbass tactic like other dumbass tactics. Like just insisting Tyson Fury didn't cheat until you're blue in the face. Acting like none of the black fighters are on the pound for pound and coming up with ridiculous arguments like Josh, what's his name? What's this dude's name? Josh Warrington. Mike Coppinger said Josh Warrington is the number 1 126 pound fighter in the world. Dog, what I'm telling you is this. Don't try it. Number 1, I'm Latino. Don't try it. I will drag my sister on here and have her cuss you out. Stop. I am just black because that's what it is. okay? I'm black because that's what it is. I'm from America. That's what my mama always told me I was. The reason I don't speak Spanish is because mi abuelo deceased, okay? Other than that, they would have all spoke Spanish. I would have spoke Spanish. I wouldn't have known anything else. But that's just not what it is. And you don't recognize that because I don't say that I am, because I say that I'm black. Because I am black. Because that's what it is. I'm in America. I'm black. When I go to South Africa, I'm not black. I turn into colored. Okay? I don't know what all this nonsense is that you guys think that you can pull with that. However, I will stick to the logic, which is this. Canelo Alvarez's biggest fight, his biggest fight is ERROl Spence Jr. And for some reason, DAZN and ESPN don't want it to happen, while at the same time, they turn around and insist that ERROl Spence Jr. fight Terrence Crawford, a Terrence Crawford that they can't find an opportunity to fight anybody good on his own network. They're not calling for Terrence Crawford to fight Jose Ramirez or Josh Taylor. Have you seen him do it? There's an easy solution to Terrence Crawford's needs to sell tickets. That's have him fight Jose Ramirez in California. That's an easy solution. You have somebody for Terrence Crawford to fight at top rank. Easy. Have him move up. Have Teofimo Lopez fight Josh Taylor at 140 because he's moving up. Or have Josh Taylor move up, right? And have Jose Ramirez fight Teofimo Lopez and have Terrence Crawford fight Josh Taylor. But they can't seem to find that. And also, they got people acting like, I mean, I said, hey, man, yeah, go ahead, Sean Porter, and take the $1 million. Man, Sean Porter's like, man, get out of here. I ain't taking that. You know what I'm saying? He ain't taking that. And he ain't fighting him as no mandatory because it's ridiculous. Because it's ridiculous. Why do we put a known cheater on the pound for pound list? Dog, they put because that's their plan. Simple and put, that's their plan. They want to plan out their year of fights. They want to plan out who's going to be the champions. They want to plan out who it is that fight fans want to see. And the way that they do that is they muffle people in the press that they do not want to get a lot of press, and they exaggerate the accomplishments and the abilities of the people that they want to hype up. That puts the focus on a bunch of fighters that they want to focus on. So you don't even know who the best fighter is. You don't know because you won't see him fight. And if they really think Canelo Alvarez is pound for pound number one fighter in the world, Floyd Mayweather Jr. was the number one pound for pound fighter in the world. Manny Pacquiao was moving up weight classes. They were pressing Manny Pacquiao to fight Floyd Mayweather Jr. They never said Floyd Mayweather Jr. was too big for Manny Pacquiao. What they said was Floyd Mayweather Jr. came up from 130 and Manny Pacquiao came up from below that. So even though it's in 147 at a higher weight class, Floyd Mayweather is ducking Manny, even though Manny was moving up. So now when Canelo Alvarez and ERROl Spence Jr. both start their career in the same weight class, they started their career in the same weight class. ERROl Spence started in 154. Canelo Alvarez started at 154. If he didn't start at 147. There's a chance he started at 147. But at the least, we know he started at 154. Where ERROl started. So why, if there's that big a gap in size between Manny and Floyd, and Manny can move up and fight Floyd, and it's the biggest fight of boxing, and everybody can recognize it. When ERROl wants to do the same thing with Canelo, everybody attacks him. Terrence Crawford fans fans attack him because they act like they can't count. And the Canelo Alvarez fans attack ERROl Spence like they can't count. I thought it was the business. I thought it was the biggest fight in boxing. ERROl Spence Jr. said, hey, I want to fight Canelo in front of 120,000 fans. Dude, how could you hear that? And your mind does not immediately go to 100 times 120,000 is 12 million at 100 a pop. At 115, it's about 18. At 150, you're talking at about 100, you're about 18 million in the gate. 18 million at the gate. That's what he said. Hey man, I could fight, or I can move up and fight Canelo and get a $20 million gate and $100 million pay-per-view. That's what he said he had. And all the Terrence Crawford fans acted like they were deaf. Chris Mannix acted like he was deaf. All you all are still acting like you're deaf. It's $120 million fight. And you don't want it? And there's something wrong for ERROl for asking for it? And Canelo turns it down and he's not ducking? But ERROl's ducking Terrence because he won't give him 50-50 of a $50 million fight? You're hating on ERROl because he wants, what, a $40 million pay raise? Anybody else did that, no way would they treat him like that. And that's exactly what they said. They were like, Tim Brad was like, oh, if he moves up, he's just doing it for the money. Yeah, Tim. Who is getting punched in their head in a boxing ring for anything other than money as a professional? Who isn't? You are sitting there talking to these people for money. You're not sitting up there with that tight ass tie and suit and all that shit on, and you ain't there for money. So what is wrong with ERROl getting money? Different standards for different champions. Different standards for different champions. And you can see it. And I'm saying different standards for different champions. I'm not saying different standards for Latinos and blacks or different. I didn't say that. Okay, I didn't say that. Because there's a different set of rules for Anthony Joshua too. There's a different set of rules for him. There's a different set of rules for Shakur Stevenson than there is Gary Russell Jr. There's a bunch of different rules for a bunch of different fighters. It's ad hoc as shit. It's ad hoc. Depending on who got the money. That's what it is. And everybody knows that's what it is. So say that is what it is. Don't hide behind something else. I never hide behind it. You have never heard me say that somebody was doing something to somebody because they're black. I never said it. I've never called anybody the R word on this channel. Never. Never. Go through it and see if you've ever heard me say that. No. I constantly say this. You can suspect that he is, but you can't say it because you do not know. And assumptions make an ass of you and me. So what if the guy isn't and it's just monetary? I say that all the time. I say it all the time. But you would have to know and be on my channel to have seen that and heard that. You would have had to. I'm on every day, 6 days a week, 7 days a week at the same time. You would have had to have heard that, and you've never heard that. You've never had anybody take a soundbite of that because it's never been said. So how could you ever say that I blamed any of it on it? All I did was point you to the fact that there is a correlation for sure between the color of somebody's skin and the likelihood that they're going to be mistreated. I see the correlation. There may be an issue with causation, though. And that is a logical fallacy that I don't make. At least I try not to make. The one that is correlation equals causation. No. I see that there's a correlation. I want to know what it is. I don't know if the two things are causing each other or not. But I suspect that there's a relationship because they're operating dependently upon one another. When I see fighters being mistreated, I see a cross-section. I see a cross-section of people being mistreated because they're not with a certain promoter. That's one instance in which we see that, and we witness it on a regular basis. Often, people blame ERROl Spence Jr. for that specific type of mistreatment of Terrence Crawford, where Terrence Crawford is not with the PBC And that is a mistreatment to Terrence Crawford, because Terrence Crawford should be allowed to fight ERROl Spence Jr. regardless, not irregardless, because that's not a word, regardless of what promotional entity represents him in the negotiation. That's what they're saying. They are pointing out a mistreatment. People are pointing out mistreatments. And if you can put out the facts and you can say, I believe there's a correlation, and other people see the same facts and they believe that they see the correlation, the only difference is causation. And so we can debate causation, but we can't debate the correlation. But you guys don't want to get to the bottom of it and understand, why is there a correlation between the color of somebody's skin and their treatment in boxing? No one wants to examine the question with I believe, any sincerity or depth. So I examine it with sincerity and in depth. And that's analysis. And that is objective and unbiased by its very nature, because I'm letting you know what the facts are that led to my conclusion. And I'm letting you know what my conclusion is. I'm letting you know why I believe it. I'm letting you know the facts. And I'm letting you know the entire time it's my conclusion. That is unbiased. You all just have a very poor vocabulary. You don't like me. And you don't like what I have to say. But you are not very good at putting together arguments, so you resort to the most foul of logical fallacies, ad hominem, and the most obvious ham-handed things. Causation and correlation, ad hominem attacks upon me. Straw man arguments. Red herrings. All kind of stuff. The whole conversation about is Tio being a pro? Why is it? What is this thing between the LDBC and the Latino world? Red herring. That's a red herring. And I've taught that to you multiple times on this channel if you've listened. That has nothing to do with whether or not Teofimo Lopez is ducking Devin Haney. They could be polka dot. If you look at the facts, you see Teofimo Lopez requested that, understood and requested on his own volition, in coordination with Bob Arum, the franchise belt, which he knew prior to seeking it would eliminate Devin Haney as a potential opponent, or at least make him unnecessary, because that is the only tangible benefit of it, is that you get to duck. The shiny belt means nothing. You can buy it at a store. Only thing matters is that you don't have to fight mandatories, and they call you champion, and the other guy gets to do your dirty work, because you're the franchise, and you know it. And either what I'm saying is true or it's not true. If it's true, spare me the soliloquies on dumb shit. Like, I don't like the way that fish swim. He don't like how goldfish swim through the water. I heard he like carp, and he won't eat no goldfish. What the fuck does that got to do with whether or not your ass cheated and whether or not I can see the gloves coming through your hand coming through a glove? Nothing to do with it at all. But you want to have a long, drawn-out conversation about it, I'm sure. I'm sure that if I wanted to have a conversation like this, Canelo Alvarez has a different set of rules than everybody else in boxing, because he doesn't have to face mandatories and he doesn't have to take mega fights that are right there in his face. Making money doesn't matter for Canelo, right? Because it's the biggest fight in boxing and he doesn't have to do it. No pressure whatsoever on that. And he doesn't have to fight Jamal because, hey, he's the franchise. Just coincidentally. No. You don't want him to fight ERROl despite the amount of money, because you don't want him to fight ERROl. I can't tell you why underneath that you don't want him to fight ERROl, but I can tell you that you don't want that money. And that's a whole lot of money not to be wanting. That's almost like Tyson Fury walking away from a Deontay Wilder fight that's worth more money than the Anthony Joshua fight. What, Fannon? Did you just say a different set of rules for a different people? Yes. Well, what would make you bring up the name of the disgusting Deontay Wilder? Why would you bring up Deontay Wilder? He's a bum. He has overhand rights. He sucks. Look at all his opponents. Look at his skinny knees. All of that, red herring. Red herring, red herring, red herring. He has a rematch clause. And Deontay Wilder said that he thought he cheated. Deontay Wilder does not have to sue him. He does not have to. It is in his right to say, you stole from me, and I will let that shit slide. Because I don't want to put you in jail, and I want my fight. He has the right to do that. Let me tell you, give me a 1 in the comment section if I can give you a scenario where somebody would do that. Put a 1 in the comment section if it's okay for me to explain to you by way of comparison why there is nothing wrong with Deontay Wilder doing that and not seeking any type of punitive legal action for Tyson Fury, but yet just wanting his shit back. Give me my fight and stop cheating. That's what he wants. He don't want you to go to jail. I can't whoop ass in jail. I want you in the ring. But there you go. Thank you for my ones. I have a son, an estranged son. And I mean that very seriously. I have an estranged son. Not blood son. He's not my blood. He is somebody that I thought of as a son. He is from the south side of Chicago, and he used to be part of I did volunteer work in Inglewood on the south side of Chicago. And there's an organization over there called Kaleidoscope. And Kaleidoscope is where they set up homeless kids or kids that are in trouble with families. They can help guide and direct the kid, right? So my wife, who, by the way, is a little unique in that she does not look like a Negro to most Negroes, unless you know what you're looking at. And so therefore, she wanted to work with somebody, or actually they wanted her to work with a child that had the same scenario. So what we did was we took in this kid who was Latino, and he was with me for years. But I never really could get him under control. Like, I could never really do anything with him, right? And not anything with him. You know what I'm saying? We could do a lot. But, he's from Inglewood. He was homeless from the time he was like 2 to the time he's like, I met him at 11, 12. So he's homeless. And there's just a lot of stuff that goes on with kids that have been homeless at that time. It's just, they're very, very, very grown in certain ways. And they are very, very, very young in other ways. So anyway, he had a family. He grew up, had a family. He's 22, 23 years old. And still won't get into it, but he did something. And he did something that I was like, man, you've got to go. Love you. You're out of my life. Right? So I did that because you got to get to that point with people. Otherwise, they won't grow. So especially if they think that you're somebody that you can take advantage of. So I was like, that's it. What happened was he took a lot of my stuff, and it was at a pawn shop. So I go to the pawn shop, and I want to get my stuff out because it's work computers. It's stuff that I need. So I go get it. But in order to do it, I get it back, I've got to file a police report. So I go back and I tell him, look, man, I've got to get this. So I have got to file this police report to get this back. If you do not have the money to give me this back, because it doesn't belong to me. So he breaks out, gone. I file a police report. I get my stuff back. Years later, he's in jail. And they say, hey, will you testify against this, and this? And what I said was, no. I do not remember any of it at all. And in fact, I don't think it was him. I did that. You know why? Because as much as I love him, I was pissed. I don't want him to go to jail over that shit. I want him to know that I'm mad at him, and I'm going to be very mad at him for probably, I don't know how long, but not going to do that to you. It's not worth that to me to know that I was responsible for that for you because you're in a tough situation. You're mad, made a bad decision. That's my prerogative, not to seek that type of punishment for him at that point in time. That's my prerogative. It's his prerogative to get his fight. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with him saying, no, I want to fight. I don't want Tyson Fury because that's not what I want. I want my shit back, right? So when the dude took my stuff and I got my stuff back, that's all I wanted. I wanted my stuff back. Deontay Wilder saying I want my stuff back. Number one, I want my fight. And number two, I want you to not cheat. Because honestly, they were really talking about not having the rematch before Deontay Wilder started saying all that stuff. But again, Deontay Wilder has a rematch, no need for a rematch. When Anthony Joshua had a rematch with Andy Ruiz, and people were even acting like he didn't need to take the exact money that Anthony Joshua and Eddie Hearn was offering, people were having hissy fits. Tell me I'm lying. Tell me I'm lying. Because I did videos. I was like, look, man, you can't make the man have a fight just because you have a rematch clause. You got to agree to certain things, like the money where it's at. I never said that he could just blow off the rematch clause, but everybody in the press for Andy Ruiz understood that. They understood for Anthony Joshua and Eddie Hearn how a rematch clause worked. Trust me, I know it because I read them explain it very clearly. But now, when it's Deontay Wilder's rematch clause, everybody gets amnesia. It's not my imagination. It's just a fact. Lomachenko deserves a rematch clause. It's not my imagination that this guy was the greatest fighter since Muhammad Ali. He was the number one pound-for-pound fighter in the world. He was a bigger star and a bigger name than Deontay Wilder, than ERROl Spence Jr. I was having to convince people that Lomachenko wasn't a bigger draw, wasn't like Canelo type of draw. The way they treated this dude. But then he loses when he's old, and then all of a sudden he don't deserve a rematch? All of a sudden, Bob Arum doesn't believe in rematch clauses? The realness. Excuses since February 22nd. You don't care. So what? February 22nd was the day he cheated. That's like, man, that's a lot of bleeding you've done since I stabbed you. Woo, that's a lot of bleeding you doing since I stabbed you. Yeah, I've been bleeding since you stabbed me. That's a whole lot of complaining you doing since you got cheated. Yes. Why in the world would you giving me a date, February 22nd, keep me from remembering that's the date that I saw skin gloves? See, that's why you guys keep running up against it. The core of it is the truth. You know Tyson Fury cheated one way or the other. The only question that you have is when. And then you know he cheated, but you want to debate which one he didn't cheat in. As if you could prove that, let's just imagine that you had on videotape a doctor in Deontay Wilder's locker room right before he walked out of the fight and after he walked out of the fight. And that doctor took a sample of blood or urine or whatever from Deontay Wilder and tested it right in front of you, right in the fight, in the ring, and he didn't go anywhere. And the results were that there was nothing in his blood system, in his circulatory system that was out of place. Everything was 100% a go. No, he did not cheat in that way. Guess what? That has nothing to do with the gloves. Nothing. So what? Nothing. You all keep trying this corny trick, like laying out a bunch of arguments, trying to confuse people with a fucking circus of throwing a bunch of shit out there and thinking that I got to prove every one of them. I do not. I do not. If you're my son and I see your grades and I said, if you failed a class, you're grounded. And I see an F, and in this case in Texas, I see a C. I see 5 A's and a C. You're grounded. And he'll say, what do you mean? You see all these A's? The A's ain't why you're grounded. The C is why you're grounded. Now, tell me that I don't see a C. If I see a C and you see a C, I see your bitch ass is grounded. Right? Right. So, why are you wasting my time telling me, somebody who never said I believe Deontay Wilder's water was poisoned? I never said I believed it. I never said I didn't believe it. What I said was, I don't care because I saw the gloves. That's all I need to know. I'm throwing you out on that. Are C's bad? Yes. C's are bad if you're going to get grounded for getting one. They're bad. If you tell your kid, great job for that C, it's good. See? See? Just like these bullshit fights. But I'm glad that you brought that up. Because the media does the same thing. What is a good fight? Callum Smith what is a good fight? Canelo Alvarez versus Yaldemir? Or Canelo Alvarez versus Jermall Charlo? Oh, well, Jermall Charlo's not a good fight. Well, why would you say this not a good fight? Because they don't want to see it. I don't care if they say out of their mouths that's a good fight. If they don't want to see it, it's not a good fight. You know what I'm saying? That's like saying, hey, baby, kiss me if you love me, and she doesn't kiss you. And she says she loves you. The answer is she don't love you because you asked her to kiss me if you love me. Not just say you love me. Show me some shit. Now, you can say it's a good fight, but you don't want it made. You don't want the fight. That's just straight to the cuff. See how you cut all the fat out? See how you just go through a mission of cutting the fat out of what they're saying? Cut the fat out of what they're doing, and you see what it is? You see the bare, naked architecture of the whole thing right in front of you. Canelo Alvarez is franchised because Mauricio Suleiman says he is. Canelo Alvarez is the number one sports star in boxing because DAZN and ESPN say he is. That's it. Gary Russell Jr. does not deserve a fight at 126 pounds with anybody, despite being the longest reigning champion in boxing. And Josh Warrington, who ain't even fought him, is the best in that weight division, even though he never fought him. Why? Because Mike Coppinger says so. Or the people that tell Mike Coppinger to say it, say so. And if they never take the fights, then they can continue to just say so. And they never have to prove it. See, you don't want to prove that Canelo Alvarez would beat ERROl Spence. You don't want to prove it. You want to pronounce it. You want to pronounce it. Oh, the fight's over because we said it's over. It ain't ever going to happen because you're scared. You're scared Canelo will lose. And that's for real. You're scared to lose. You want to know why I know you're scared he'll lose? Because I'm scared ERROl Spence will lose. To anybody he fights. Every time. Oh my God, Danny Garcia. I thought he was going to win, but I'm like, shit, what happens if he gets caught with that hook? Ain't that what you feel when you watch a boxing match? Ooh, but if he gets caught with that hook. Ooh, what if Fannon's right and his knees are bad? Ooh, what if you're right and what if he's too slow? Ooh, what if he is stronger at 160 than he is at 147? Ooh, what if he's telling the truth? Novel idea. What if the truth, who told you the truth, was telling the truth? What if the truth, who told you the truth, is telling the truth? Now, that is damn near like an IQ test for you dumbasses. But I bet you know what I mean. Put a 1 in the chat if you know what I mean. What if the truth is that the truth is telling the truth? Because he told the truth before. Every time the truth has said this is the truth, it's been the truth. Hadn't he? Hadn't he? T-Boxing Spot said, people are fans of fighters and not true fans of the sport. I'm a huge fan. I'm a huge Bud fan, but I'm taking a risk clamoring for him against Keith Thurman, Porter, and Spence. Yes, sir. And much love in that super chat, man. Y'all know what I mean? See, that's the case where you say what is understood doesn't need to be explained. But there's a lot of dumbasses out there that don't understand when I say they worried about that the truth is telling the truth. And here's the truth. The truth is ERROl the Truth Spence Jr. That's his nickname, The Truth. And Canelo Alvarez's alias is Canelo because his name is not even Alvarez. His name is Baranga, something, Baranga, I don't know how to say his name, Baranga, whatever his name is Saul something, Alvarez Baranga, however you pronounce that, right? That's his name. But why do they call him Canelo? Because Canelo means cinnamon. So they look at his hair and they're like, cinnamon, Canelo. We'll call you cinnamon. Cinnamon. Makes sense. ERROl is the truth. Why? Because the mother just keeps telling the truth. I have yet to catch this dude. Nah, his name is Saul Alvarez, but he's got a B. He's got another name. Alvarez is not his last name. Is not his last name unless I getting some shit fucked up where Spanish people have their mother's maiden name first and then their father's name. I don't know what that is. But the last part of it, the very end of it starts with a B, ends with an A. Regardless, my point is this. There you go. Terry Schmoot. Sal Alvarez Baralanga. Computerello. See, but here. I forgot my fucking point. God dog. Hate when I get off stuff and do that. Man, much love to my man in that Cash App. Thank you so much for the support, man. He said, for the truth, stay up, stay real, man. Thank you so much for that money, for the support in that Cash App. Canelo uses steroids. Okay, so I got it now. Thank you. So Canelo's name is Cinnamon because he's cinnamon. ERROl tells the truth, and he really is the truth. There ain't nothing about ERROl Spence Jr.'s style is flashy. And that's what I think throws a lot of people off. And it threw me off because I'm like, I see the results, but I also see what people are saying about how he fights. But really, if you listen to Derrick James and you listen to how Derrick James speaks to people, and you realize that he is in large part the architect of the development of ERROl Spence, you will see in the personality of Derrick James that he does not fuck around. You are too old to curse. Fuck you. Fuck you talking about? My daddy's 80 years old and he will still cuss. Grow up. What do you mean? You're supposed to be a mature adult before you cuss. What do you think, cussing's for kids? Little kids are not supposed to cuss. That's how that works. Fuck out of here, man. All these cats trying to tell people who and what they need to be. That's just little. See, once you do that, you know you whack. All right, the real McCoy said, Fannon, it's been a minute, but why are you on before Trill, Unc? Oh, because I moved my thing to 8 o'clock. Been doing this maybe about a month. Trill comes on at like 11:30 now. Like, not 11:30, like closer to 11. Trill kept moving up, and so I couldn't move up any further. So I just did a spin move, popped back to 8 o'clock. And now everything is kosher. Everything is kosher in the building. The real McCoy in the building, man. Thank you so much. Much love in that super chat. So it's like, oh, and Mr. Mechanical said, much love in that super chat. He said, these man fans are in denial of the truth, bro. Oh, yeah, but they're going to hear the truth, a lot of it, because you got to repeat it. See, the thing about live streams and videos and all of that, the human mind does need to hear the same thing about 7 or 8 times before they get it. Dummies need to get it, may need to hear it 20 or 30 times, or they need to experience tragedy in life in order to get it. You know what I'm saying? So you just keep pushing it. And you keep pushing and you be consistent. Jamal Hughes, I like how Fannon put a fantasy fight on IG on live. I see you, Fannon. Hey, thanks, man. Oh, yeah, you know, we got cacks. We got systems. We got systems in this biatch. We got systems. Yeah, you know, don't give my secret away, man. They ain't supposed to know when I do my uploads. They're not supposed to see the magic. Anyway, yeah, man, I got my stuff working. It's good, man. You should go check out the fantasy fights and let me know what you think. So anyway, the truth, being the truth and the truth, they're mad that just like ERROl Spence Jr. told the truth about being the same after that car accident. Because what did they say about ERROl Spence Jr. the entire time? ERROl Spence Jr. said that he was 100% good and he couldn't wait to prove the doubters wrong against Danny Garcia because everybody that did not like ERROl Spence Jr. acted like they were confused and they believed that he was risking his entire life and his future against Danny Garcia. Do you remember that or not? Fantasy fight, Canelo or Hagler? Nah, I didn't put that up there. Hey, let me know though on your on the fantasy fights that you want. But you know, I got a long list of fantasy fights coming out though. So they in the oven. I got a bunch of fantasy fights in the oven. I got some fantasy fights you gonna love in the oven. It's in the oven. Jay Watt says, salute, bro. Keep hitting him with the facts. His full name is Santos Saul Alvarez Baranjan. Who is that? I don't know. Baragan. See, I'm out there. Mi hermana. For my pronunciation. I suck, but I'll get it right. I'll keep working. Fantasy fight. Spence versus Sugar Ray Leonard. Hey, man, don't worry about it. We'll get to him. We'll get to the fantasy fights because, see, the reason I have fantasy fights is so that people can actually see and think about fights and realize how fun they are to see combinations of fighters with fights that would never happen today. Because if there ain't no, first of all, Alexis Arguello, if it was today, would never fight Aaron Pryor. Ain't no way Alexis Arguello, managed by Bob Arum, is fighting Aaron Pryor. And if that was the scenario, Bob Arum has changed drastically. Okay? Drastically. Unless, okay, maybe Alexis Arguello was maybe a little bit old in his career at the time. ERROl versus Thurman. We love Khan versus Hagler. Oh, shit. You trying to get people killed up in the fantasy fights. I said fantasy fights, man. I didn't say death fights. I ain't trying to get people hurt, you know? But don't worry. I'll give you one secret, though. One of them is going to be Thomas the Hitman Hearns. And a lot of y'all think the other dude's going to win. One is Thomas the Hitman Hearns. And another one is the people you think would actually win the fight. But it's your opinion and not mine. We make the video. We make the video. We put the video up. And you give us your opinion. Aaron Pryor versus Terrence Crawford. I take Shit, I don't know. That's tough. Oh, I know what. This is what would happen. Aaron Pryor versus Terrence Crawford. Terrence Crawford will want 90% of the purse, and Aaron Pryor will take it and still beat him up. Terrence Crawford, it will magically become his best friend. That's what'll happen. He's my friend. He's my friend. I can't fight Aaron. That's my boy. You know what I'm saying? That's my boy. That's my homeboy. You know what used to happen when I was a kid? See, when people used to say that's my friend, I used to think that's because you don't want to get beat up. Like, you want to be my friend so you don't get beat up. Like, I realized that at a certain point in time because I got in so many fights. And like I said, I could fight. So people realized pretty quick, like the nerds, the other nerds, they were like, let me hang out with him because if these dudes start a fight, he will fight with me. So, because if you start a fight, I'm fighting. Like, if a fight breaks out, I don't go that way. I start fighting. It's like it's time. Once the fight starts, you got to fight. Like, the time to leave is before the fight starts. But if you're there when the fight starts, you just got to fight. Because if you don't fight, you're going to get clocked upside the head or some shit. You know what I'm saying? You're going to get, it's time to fight is fight. But you realize that people want to be your friends because they don't want to get beat up. Like, I would think to myself, hey, let me go to a boxing match. Who do I want to go hang out with a boxing match with? A whole bunch of people don't like me. I'm going to a matchroom card. Who do I want to have sitting next to me? Oh, I'll take Black Fight Fan TV and BFTB. Because the Black Fight Fan TV don't scare you off before you get there. Because on the real, 9 out of 10 of y'all ain't going to say shit to him. Okay, just for real, 90% of y'all ain't going to say shit to him. Like, all these dudes talking shit to Black Fight Fan TV. You literally never stood next to that man because you're not going to say that shit to him. You're going to think the better of that. Like, Teofimo Lopez, I guarantee you, would not open his mouth to Black Fight Fan TV. Not a fucking chance. I dare him. Like, I'll put money on that shit. For real. Like, Black Fight Fan TV versus Teofimo Lopez in a street fight, I will put all my money on Black Fight Fan TV. Ain't no way Teofimo Lopez is getting out of that shit. No way. And BFTB, and the reason why I say BFTB is because BFTB is going to hit you from across the street. If you don't know what I mean, he's going to hit you from across the street. I have a hard time believing that you're even going to get close enough to him to really there to be anything. Like, he talks about throwing hands, and I know he can throw hands, but there's just something about BFTB that makes me think that you're really not going to get close enough. Like it would be almost like if I'm like, I'm going to go fight BFTB. What do I need to do? Show up a week early. Number one thing first, show up a week early. Find all the exits. Look at all the vantage points. Look at all the motherfucking vantage points. See where this nigga could be hiding. Ooh, because other than that, dog, no. So I'll go to the fights with them. Because even like, no joke, you think I'm playing. BFTB, I was at look, listen to this. This is why I was like, nah, I'm not fucking with BFTB. BFTB got enough money to sit on the floor, dog. He does. Okay? He'll be like, man, I don't know, man. Nah, you got enough money to sit on that floor. So, but I was walking on the floor and I get a phone call. And I'm like, it's like, bring. He's like, the GOAT. You know how he says, he's like, the GOAT. What's good, the GOAT? I was like, what's good, man? He's like, man, I see you. It's like, what do you mean you see me? He's like, yeah, look up. I was like, what? I couldn't see him. He's like, look up. So he's like, no, go to the Pepsi sign. Look by the Pepsi sign. Look up. Look at the top. And I was like, this dude's, I knew. And it makes me mad because I know he's got them sniping skills. I know he's a sniper. Like, I know he's a sniper. So I'm like, dude, this is a sniper, literally a sniper, telling me that he sees me. I was like, oh no. Me and BFTV, we always gonna be friends, dog. Dude, no joke, dog. Hey man, Cerebral Shadowbite said, Fannon, your name should be Hammer, because hitting these nails on the head, man. Thank you, man. Hey, dog, I'm just trying to tell you. So, like, that's just real. Like, that's real. So, hey, man, look. No, we're breaking it up, though, dog, because they're salty. Look, Lenny Coates, we're hurting. No, look. This is a good thing, because I've explained to you guys for a long time what this channel is, okay? What I'm doing is, I'm a boxing fan that believes in a certain process called the code. And I'll just leave the code alone. I believe in the code. And I set a code, and I'm going by that code. And if my code is successful, people will start acting really fucking crazy. And that is exactly what is happening. So the fact that you have people that are boldly acting like this and doing shit that is so blatantly obvious, like where I can now tell you there's two sets of standards and literally point to them and give you newspaper articles, we wouldn't have been able to do this 4 years ago. It would have been much more difficult to get them to do such stupid shit. It's the frustration because they can't hide it. They can hide the causation. The confusion hides the causation. The confusion cannot hide the correlation. Do you hear what I'm saying? Confusion can only hide causation. It cannot hide causation. It cannot hide correlation. You understand? Do you understand? That's how it works. You're looking through the fog of confusion, looking for the cause. But because the fog of confusion engulfs the cause, the only thing that you can see is the result. And when you see multiple results that tend to operate in correlation to one another, though you cannot see the cause, you can look at the pattern and then try to find patterns that will enlighten you as to the cause. But you'll never truly see it. But then the people in the fog causing the confusion, they think that they're hidden. They're not hidden. They think they're the man behind the curtain. They think that there's always people out there that think that they can pull fancy shit from behind a curtain. As if, as long as I got 4 or 5 people in front of me and this guy over here doing this for me, that guy doing it for me over me, that I'm invisible to everyone. No, you're not. You're not visible. You're not invisible. You're just in a cloud of confusion. And people are having a hard time seeing through it. However, if people can make enough observations, they can come up with a hypothesis that will fit the phenomenon that they're witnessing. It's the same scientific theory and the same scientific process that allows physicists to come up with concepts of black holes and the theory of relativity. Those are called theoretical physicists. They don't know how the universe started. That shit happened a long ass time ago. They are theorizing on it based on everything that they have the ability to observe. And then they're working their way backwards, and they are satisfied as long as what they're trying to use this information for works. They're satisfied with that explanation. They know that they will never get to absolute certainty of what the cause of the universe is. The cause of the universe is a lot more difficult to figure out than some bozo sitting behind a desk thinking he's fucking Machiavelli. Okay? No. You spend money, you know what I'm saying? You hire people, you have businesses that have an organization, right? So you have PR, you've got accounting. As long as I know that you have a business, I understand the organizational structure of your business, I understand the profit motives of your business, then I can get what your intentions more than likely would be. And then if I see what your intentions more than likely would be, and I see some causation, some correlation, then I could assume causation for the purposes of my actions, if not for my complete understanding. Now, when I can do that shit in Spanish, I'm gonna do that shit in Spanish, boy. And when I can do what I just did in Spanish, I'm gonna moik you. Moik you. You know why? Because then there will be all kind of other people that can hear that you just got moiked. Tell me I'm lying. Tell me I'm lying. Tell me I'm lying. Tell me I'm lying. I ain't lying. He ain't lying. He ain't lying. He ain't lying. He ain't lying. You know why I know I ain't lying? Let me tell you why I know I ain't lying. Because my brother speaks fluent Spanish just like a Venezuelan. Just like a Venezuelan. Why does he speak just like a Venezuelan? Because that's who he hangs out with. He lived in Venezuela, so he speaks like a Venezuelan. My sister, she speaks Spanish like a Cuban. You know why she speaks Spanish like a Cuban? Because she's married to a Cuban. So, and she lives in Miami, and all her friends are Cuban, and her kids are Cuban, and they all just have cafe and are just happy as shit. And she tells me, fucking roll your R's, Martin. 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 Roll your eyes. Y'all like to call me by my name. Call me Martin. Roll my R's like my family do. Anyway. Anyway, because I couldn't believe they fell for that shit. Like, man, please. If I didn't have some connection to, please, I wouldn't even come anywhere near the subject. Fuck out of here, nigga. I know what you guys are going to try to call. It ain't the first time I caught one of y'all super light-skinned dudes trying to do that shit to me. It's like black in reverse. It's like black in reverse. See, if I fuck around with the wrong dark-skinned black dude that gets pissed off at me and he don't like me, you know what he will say? You ain't really black. You not as black as me. That's what he would say. You're light-skinned. Get it all the time, right? You light-skinned. You would know. You don't know what this is like. That's what I would get, right? So, when then I get around a bunch of light-skinned niggas, I don't usually like them a lot unless they are kind of the type of people that know that, yeah, this is some bullshit. You know what I mean? We'll use it what it's worth for what it's worth, but we can't really acknowledge the shit like this because it's horse shit. You know what I mean? There's a lot of people that do that. So it's just the same way with people that just speak Spanish, but they're Dominican or they're Cuban or they're Puerto Rican or they're from Brazil or whatever. See what I mean? And then they try in America because they're not considered black here. Because they're not considered black here. Because they black where they came from, but they ain't black here. They want to act like we different. We're not different. We just speak a different language, man. You're just light-skinned descendant of somebody that was either Spanish, French, or Portuguese. Mixed with the people that were here before they invaded, mixed with whoever it is that they brought in to do the work when they killed the people that were here when they came. And whatever that combination you are, that's what you are. That's the same combination I am. So the fuck out of my face. The only difference is I speak English. If I spoke Spanish and I couldn't understand English, would I be a different person? No, I would not. Okay? So stop. Brazil, Portuguese. Yeah, because of the Papal Bull of 1453. Most blacks in the north, most descendants of Africans that are considered to be black in the Western Hemisphere are in South America. First of all, South America is way bigger than North America, but the maps are fucked up. So when you look at Brazil, think of it as being way bigger than it is on the map. Okay? Because we draw maps that make it look like the North is bigger than the South, when really there is no fucking real North and South. I mean, it's just, anyway. The point of the matter is that there's like 91, by a conservative estimate of blacks in Brazil is 91 million. There are more blacks in Brazil than there are British. Period. There are more, let me repeat that. There are more blacks in Brazil that speak Portuguese and are Latino than there are blacks in America. Almost twice as many. Twice as many blacks in South America. So, if I spoke Portuguese, and moved to Brazil, I would be Brazilian, and I would be black. Just like all the Brazilians that are black. Don't try that. Because when you try that, then you pull your own pants down. Then you got to say, well, what is this shit then? It's the same thing in Latin America that it is in non-Latin America. It is Europeans running everybody's fucking business. And the more that you look European, the more likely it is that you're running somebody's business. Just like in the United States. It's the same system. It's the same thing. And they're trying to hide behind the veil of language. As if see and yes are that fucking much different. Sandwich. Fuck out of my face with that stuff, man. Look, man, I'm going to have a Spanish language channel. Do not worry. You in Spain, Spanish-speaking people will know exactly what I'm going to say. Trust me. As I have promised anything on this channel, I promise you this. You will hear exactly what I have to say in Spanish. So you can hear for yourself and you don't have to worry about these guys lying to you because you don't speak English. Because I'm sure they do that to you a lot. You know why? Because they lie a lot in English. So since they're going to lie in English, why wouldn't they lie in Spanish? Mauricio Suleiman would lie like a rug in English. He ain't doing that in Spanish. Fuck out of my face, man. Exactly. They running everybody's business. So why you acting special? So why you act? I don't even understand why you acting so special. It ain't no difference, brother. I am brown. Doug, hey, can y'all put what I am black? But what color am I? What color am I? I'm brown. Massive amounts of black people are brown. I am brown. Aren't I? Matter of fact, I'm more brown than Teofimo Lopez is. So why is he brown and I'm not? Brown is more suiting to me than it is suiting to him, isn't it? I am literally the color of a brown paper bag. You don't get any more brown than me. I'm dead brown. It's brown. Shit. Anyway, almond brown, thank you. I'm brown. So when you guys, that's like an Indian dude one time said from India, was like, what is you black people against the brown? Dude, who's black and who's brown? You're black. Coogan, you're black. I'm brown. It's you're Negro. And do you know what really matters? You're just not white. You're just not white. At the end of it, that's the distinction that matters. You're not European. You're not. You can say you're Spanish, but you're not. Just like I can say I'm English, and I'm not. Anyway, it is what it is. All right, cool. That's what's up. 78 Sports TV said he's running 5 minutes late. Fannon, did you see the report Canelo ducked $25 million to fight Charlo. I wouldn't doubt it. I saw the video that came out from Blue Blood, but I haven't heard it yet. I'm too stuck on, I don't need that. He just ducked $100 million from ERROl Spence. Like, ducking $25 million for Charlo? Dude, Canelo already makes $25 million. Canelo should get 35, 50 for Charlo. Why would he take 25 for Charlo? He shouldn't take 25 for Charlo. He should get the same money he got for Gennady Golovkin for Charlo. $25 million seems like a low ball for Charlo. For Canelo, if Canelo's really the pay-per-view star, shit, he make a ton of money. I want to know why he's ducking a fucking $80 million for ERROl Spence. There you go. Said, oh, true story. He said, who cares? I'm brown, Filipino brown. Now let me tell you what my wife and my daughter said happened to them in Mali. They went to Mali and they asked the people that were in Mali, how often do they see black people? People from Mali. And the people from Mali were like, what? He's like, hey, how often do you see black people? They're like, they went like this. What do you mean? You're the same color as me. They didn't see any difference between somebody with this skin color and their skin color because they had the same skin color. So they were like, what are you talking about? You're the same as us. What? I was like, oh, so we go to Indonesia. If we go to Mali, then they'll treat us like we're from Mali? Yeah, learn the language. You might as well be from Mali. You're just like us. Nah, dog. We live in a very, 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 very racist society. Okay? The most on the planet. And we say that and don't think about that and take it as true a lot. We live in the United States in probably the most racist place on the planet. Probably the most racist on the planet. I have a hard time thinking something more. Because if you look at the desperate treatment of black people, the amount of black people in jail, the amount of like the birth control, the shit that they do with abortion clinics in every black neighborhood, dog, like, no, dude. No, dude. It's here. So when we go somewhere else, they're shocked at how we see the world. Like, why do you always think it's that much? Move here and you will see. Okay, it may not be like that where you're from, but it's like that here. And I don't care what they put on TV to convince you it's not like that. It's very much like this. Okay, it's completely segregated. Black people, by and large, do not live next to white people. Mexicans, by and large, do not live next to blacks or white people. White people do not, by and large, live near other people. What you will see, and I said by and large, what you will see is select pockets of, usually in urban centers where people mix. New York, Miami, New Orleans, DC, Chicago, areas like that, you'll see some mixture in those major metropolitan areas. But outside of that, 99.9% of the geography and the neighborhoods and the areas in the United States of America are segregated and actively segregated, okay? Not by accident, either by gentrification or by just policy. And that's the truth. And y'all don't get it. Y'all want to act like that's not true. It is. But anyway, let me get up out of here. Much love to everybody in the chat, everybody in the super chat. And with that, we out. Peace.